Thank you for being here, Misty. So happy to have you to share your purpose journey and story with us today.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I've been thinking a lot about this topic, so it's been really good for me. I've even journaled a little bit about it, so I'm thankful for just the idea about, when it comes to neurolinguistics, like what does purpose even mean? And then what does that mean to me? So I'm excited to share.
Great. So what brought you here to Gainesville, Florida?
Gainesville. College. I came here. Yeah, I actually, my college story is kind of funny for anyone going into college because I always just somehow people just help me along my journey. I've been to 2 different middle schools and 3 different high schools when I was younger, and I made very good grades. I was a straight A student. I did never make a B. I don't think I made 1 B until I got to college, and that was like one time. So a little bit of a perfectionist in school, and my guidance counselor is like, when I was a senior, like, where are you going to college? And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, a big fan of UF. You should go to the University of Florida. And I'm like, okay, how do I do that? And so it's the only school that I applied to, and I got in, and that's how I got here. It's kind of interesting. So,
well, we're happy to have you. So we'll jump right in. And what I want to hear is all the aha moments that have led you up to where you are today, or the main ones that have been those times where it's like, okay, I need to do this. I need to follow my purpose, and leading up till today. So let's hear.
Wow, that's interesting. That is something, this kind of work, all the aha moments, this kind of looking back on my life, I've done ton of therapy. I've done guided meditations where I'm guided to, before, like when I was in the womb, the first thing I remember out of the womb, I've done this work. And so that's a very loaded question. So I don't know like which part to focus on. So I'm just gonna go with, for me, my aha moments are moments where I'm either completely in the moment, like where time stands still, and where when I have to leave that space, I feel like, oh, I don't want this to end. So that's a big part of learning my purpose. So when I find myself completely mindful, I'm not thinking about something in the past, the future, I'm feeling creative, I'm really listening to somebody, whatever that is, that feels like a purpose. And then also when I'm really being pressed, like when I feel a lot of discomfort and I have to move or I have to get out of where I'm at, then there's typically for me a fire, like something that really, either it's a fire, it's something that gets me moving, or it's something that gets me very still. So those are the moments where I'm finding my purpose, and these are the times that I want to continue to notice the most, and notice like, hey, for me, I love, I'm a movement artist, so I feel like part of my purpose is to have these experiences, and whether it's emotional, like mental, whether it's in a relationship, spiritually, having information come in and processing information from the universe, from other people, with inside of myself through my body. And so I learned that at a very young age, just being kind of closing my door in the house, and so a lot of times with my twin sister, sometimes by myself, like when I'm putting on music and I'm moving energy through my body. I started that at a young age, and so that to me is part of my purpose, because that's a place where I'm processing life, I'm connected to something bigger than me, but and all of this is helping me to heal myself. So I mean, in that sense, my purpose could be to heal, and specifically I am have mastered healing energy through my body, through the physical space, and I'm definitely called to teach others my ways and how I process things physically. And it's also something that's really inspiring to other people. So just by looking at me, often physically, people are very inspired. And so part of my purpose is to share with other people, okay, well, this is how I got here. This is how I do this. This is how, when I was butting up against and the universe was pressing me, like, this is what I chose, how I was moved, how I've been called to do this life and then to share with other people. Does that make sense?
Yes,
so
definitely.
It's like the purpose is in the moment, and the purpose is when I'm pressed and I shift. It's all of the transformative processes as well.
So for someone who does feel stuck, like you're saying, what are some of the things that you recommend they start off with? Like closing the door and putting on some music?
Ooh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and a lot of people don't process things like that. Like, you're an artist, so you and a lot of people, and I know visual artists, and they're there, and they're just, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you're in the moment, and you're completely mindful, and you're creating something beautiful, which is something that all of us, I just got chills, have the opportunity, I got more chills, to do every day. We have that opportunity. So finding those places where we are creating something that is for lack of a better word, a positive change, like something that is going to help you, and it's going to also like help the world. And not that you have to share it with the world, but anytime, it's the whole, like, I wrote about this in my book, but let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Like, let there just be mindfulness on earth, or let us all find our place where we feel that way.
Can you say that again, where there's peace with me, that quote?
Let there be, it's a song. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. It's like a church song. I
love that.
Yeah, so that mindfulness. So maybe if they want to practice, and you can, it is a practice, moving energy through your body, because you might feel awkward, or the movement, it might not feel natural, but just relaxing into your body. Anyone can practice that and get better at it. Just like you always tell me, you and my other friends do. Misty, if you practice, like I did practice how to write, and I learned cursive, and at times I was really like into it, I would never say that I was feeling like all lit up, and so for me, that's my purpose, is when I'm lit up. And it's not the same for all of us. Like, that would be boring, that'd be like just water for soup. It's just boring. Yeah.
So I'm personally very inspired by you, so I'm super excited about sharing your story. And I see so many amazing qualities in you. What are some values that you have learned or have taken on that have really helped you through your life and finding your purpose?
I would say all along, one of my biggest values ever is integrity. And so it's that strength to stand in my own, and I've been challenged a lot through it. And God, something higher than me, has challenged me about the integrity piece, because although it's always been the first thing that I say, like even in school they asked you if you're applying for something, if I'm applying for when I'm younger, a scholarship, I'm just looking back at things, and I'm always like, integrity, the definition that I learned about that is doing the thing that you would do as if everyone was watching, sort of thing, like being open, energy, transparency, and not meaning that I have to share everything with everyone, but just being, and that's just owning like who I am and what I stand for. But I will say that it's been also one of my biggest challenges in some ways, because I had this other part of me that wants to be very pleasing for people. So maybe I find myself in uncomfortable situations and I don't stand up for myself, that sort of thing. So now in life, as I've grown, even though that's been one of the qualities, it's one that I really feel like I'm living more than ever. Like, just for instance, a silly example is like, I used to go to dinner when I was, with my ex-husband, like a Friday night, and like at the friend's house, and like watch the men smoke cigars, and they would have drinks, and I would bring the food, and I would cook and I would clean, and I was like not living like my own truth. So that was interesting, even though integrity was huge. Like, of course, I'm not going to lie to anybody. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to say anything that I wouldn't say in front of you. Like, this sort of thing is just really huge for me, you know. But then again, I've been like a super private person, so I might not say anything at all. So, yeah, I guess I kind of went there on that, and hopefully that makes sense. But it's always been a big one for me, and it's one that it looks to me like I'm defining it more and more. And as I define it more and more, I really enjoy my life a lot more, because we have so many options of how we're going to spend our life. I have 3 sons, you know, and I tell them, like, there's so many options of what you can be doing. Even this morning, my kid had 30 minutes, like, what do you want to do? So he's on Duolingo. Okay, you're going to learn Spanish. Great. But you have 30 minutes, like, you could meditate, do whatever, but just, like, be aware of what you're doing. Like, live your life with integrity. Living your life with integrity to me also means, like, living consciously choosing, you know, knowing that being here is a gift. And so having integrity could be making the most of every day, because it's for something that's bigger, you know. Yeah, awareness, you know, awareness is huge too.
So you were saying about, you know, integrity, and then, you know, like serving food. Would you say that, like, being out of alignment was breaking integrity to you?
Yeah,
like being out of alignment with who you are?
Yeah, or just not being aware, living in old patterns. But as long as we're here, we can keep evolving. But now I would define it more like that, you know, like, say I'm somebody who really, being aware, living in old patterns would not be living in my current integrity of, like, my purpose, right? Yeah.
So what would you say are some of your gifts that you get to give others?
Yeah, excitement, positivity, super positive, really positive. Maybe I'm scared of the negative sometimes, but, you know, it's like, I love to have fun. So, but people do butt up against me with that. They like to bring up their excuses and not have fun, but I'm going to have some fun. And when people want to have fun, I can bring out some fun, like the excitement when they want to, you know, when they want to be encouraging people to be active, definitely challenging other people, you know, their ability. And it's almost, sometimes I do it and I just want to surprise myself, because I just want to be amazed by humans. So sometimes I'll challenge people to do things and I don't even know if they can do it, but I just love to be amazed too. So it might be a little bit self-serving, but I mean, I started as a fitness coach when I was, really before 19 years old, because I really started studying, but I was working in the gym by the time I was 19. And even before I was working there, when I started at 17, I just loved to be around the gym and just inspire people to do amazing physical things, you know, to challenge their mind and challenge their, you know, limiting beliefs about themselves and their excuses and all that. So yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah, well, it's definitely the case. Every time we hang out, it's like there's some fun and excitement and challenge that, you know, is never too small to start. And, you know, whether it's hula hoops or
mermaid tails,
all kinds of fun challenges. So what would you say would be some of your future vision of, you know, inspiring others, and how can you contribute what you've learned?
So interesting. I was today, I've just been through so much change. I just ended a 20-year relationship, not just with someone I was married to, but really with, like, even parts of the whole entire family and the dynamic there. I sold, and that I let go of my half of the business that we owned together for 16 years. And I've been, like, one of my mantras, one of my spiritual mentors is, you know, I'll do the work to go backwards, but I trust her so much. And she actually told me, like, look forward and don't look back. And so now I found myself in this forward-looking space. And today I was training. I was working out before I came here, and I was training very intense. And I'm thinking about it. I think, oh my gosh, if I could like dial in my mind the things that I think when I'm training, that would be like a book every day. And anyway, so I came to the conclusion today, just like an hour and a half ago, that I'm not gonna look forward as much anymore. I'm going to practice being right here, because I was such a planner, and a lot of things worked out. Like I planned the babies and the wedding, and I'm just talking, this is just like my recent experiences too, where I plan, and I don't do that in fitness, which is interesting because I teach people. I've never had this negative attachment with my fitness. I am so good at pivoting if I hurt myself, if I can't go to the competition, if I because fitness is just life. Like I just know I'm always going to be doing it, and I'll find my way if it doesn't work out. But for whatever reason right now, this whole future planning thing is, everything I've set in place is working out. I'm inspiring humans. I'm a coach. I've been doing, that's all working out. I just wrote the book, I have a strategy for launching that, and I trust that it'll go in the hands of whoever wants it. But I would say I am every day, my prayer, and it's been for years, it's the 3rd step prayer in the 12-step program. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou will. I'm letting go of the bondage to myself, and I want to do better for something that's greater than me. And I keep going back to my book, but it's true, like I talk about it in my book, like I've just lost so much. I planned so much. I had a lot of attachments, and so my plan is to do my best every day, have fun, find times where I'm in the moment, spread love, and see where I land. So, I could tell you what I'm doing today and tomorrow, and I have an 8-week plan for a book launch, and I am studying on how to be a better mother and support my children through life changes, and that's my plan.
Awesome.
To continue what I'm doing, and I have no idea where I'm going to land. I do want to leave Gainesville. I'll say that. Being
present is the best gift that we can give ourselves in this moment, to be present. And so you alluded a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And it's like all the podcasts and everything have been talking about this, and that's an interesting topic with purpose, because I know that that's what I was supposed to be doing. I wrote this book during some of the hardest years of my life, and I didn't realize, I didn't even know what I was doing. It's almost like I don't even know how I finished it, but something just really helped me. My book came from me wanting to share with more people, and to connect with more people. And you always hear it, in coaching, like you have to share your story, but I've been a really private person. Like I wasn't even on social media for a long time. When I first got on Facebook, it was because somebody who's my best friend, one of my old dance partners, who I call my brother, he moved to the Netherlands, and he's like, you got to get on here. This is like before, I think, even Instagram. And he's like, it's the only way we can stay in contact, because there wasn't even like WhatsApp and Signal. And so I hopped on there. It was his birthday, and I was like, happy birthday, bro. And I'm on Facebook. I actually got on Facebook for his birthday. And I hated it. I don't watch TV. I haven't seen most movies. I can't name one. I'm just not. I've never been that. And my kids are like, Mommy, it's because you weren't allowed to watch TV when you were little. And I'm like, well, maybe, because I never really got that habit.
It's a great training.
Right? And then I had got on Instagram, and a lot of it kind of reluctantly, but to start, because my goal was to move out of Gainesville. So it's like, okay, what can I do as a coach? But when I run into people on the street, this is like the gist of the beginning of my book, and everybody's like, is your book dedicated to, my identical twin sister died, as you know, is it dedicated to her, is it about this or that? And I'm like, no, it's about every person on the street who I won't come in contact with, and I won't get to touch them, or they won't walk in my gym, and I won't work with them closely. And it's a very vulnerable book, and as vulnerable as I am getting with the world, which was pretty damn vulnerable for me at this point, and to be able to relate to humans and inspire them by sharing my own personal struggles, and basically the mental ways, not the physical, because it's really not nutrition, and it's not what to do for a workout. The book's called From Shattered to Shredded. So it's like turning pain into superpower, turning your challenge into courage, that sort of thing. And it's a lot of interesting, different ways how I've created some, alchemy in my life and how I've worked through tough times. And so it has a lot, it's more of a mindset book, really. And I would say that, especially since at the end of every chapter, there's writing prompts. So there's opportunity for the reader to write and relate to the stories that I've shared and then how I got through them, and then hoping that they can, take those gems and work through their own stuff. So it's the girl at the post office, a couple weeks ago, who said, you look, they comment on my body, and then they start telling me all their reasons, but their excuses in my ears for why they're not fit, because a lot of times I've been through so much of the same ish. And I'm just like, wow, but I don't want to say that because I don't want to be. But now I'm just going to pass them a card and say, hey, I wrote a book for you. Maybe this will help, so it's just to help and, to share my fitness journey a little bit.
I love that. And I'm very excited for your book. And
me too.
I just love what you share, that people may have their excuses, but you've shared, with me that when your kids were napping when they were a baby, that was time to get to work. So we can give ourselves a break or a treat, like as we kind of do with like sugar. Oh, let me just give myself a treat, but it's not really a treat. We're giving ourselves excuses, and instead of doing that, we can just, have productive
So you're
action.
saying you eat cake when they nap, and then you blame it on the kid? I can't. It's my kid.
Exactly.
I know, and I would work out during that first nap, and sometimes they wouldn't nap at all, and I'd go, well, I don't get my workout today because that was my time. And I always told myself I'm gonna train the whole time they're napping, and sometimes 2 hours would go by, and I'm like, oh my god, what else am I? Okay, you're cut off. Like, it's just so funny.
Wake up, kids.
Just also a time where I didn't, like, in fitness, I mean, just this is a kind of a side thing, but like I didn't get to work on my skills. I was just training to maintain, and I knew that, I want to keep my body healthy, I want to keep my heart healthy, but I wasn't doing all the cool things that I love to do physically. But I also am aware that I'm prioritizing my children, and I'm not gonna, a lot of times what people do is they beat themselves up about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's part of living your purpose too. Like right now in my life, I have three, I wrote it down for me on my mirror right now, my 3 things every day that are most important: my health, because you have to put your mask on first, my babies, and my career, because I have to pay all the bills, right? So these are the 3 things. And so this right now, and I think the whole purpose thing is not ever a one-time thing. It's like that every day. It's
a journey.
It's almost to me like the awareness, the consciousness, the living consciously.
Yes.
And then there's no room to blame why you're not wherever you think that you're supposed to be, or why your body doesn't look a certain way, or why your bank account doesn't look like what you want, or why you didn't go to the school that you said you're going to go to, whatever it is, right?
Yeah. What would you say to inspire the kids of this generation who, and you have done this in your, with Gino, but to inspire kids who are too lazy? They feel like...
She's talking about my oldest son who's adopted, who lost both of his parents before 12, and then he lost his best friends, and oh my gosh. I told him he has, I mean, that's funny because I wouldn't say this to everyone, but I told him, baby, we all have choices, and I can't make choices for you. And I told him, you're worth, God made all of us born worthy. You're worth everything. You're worth the whole entire, whatever you want to define what worth is, and you have a choice. So you can smoke pot, you can sneak out of the house, you can have sex, so maybe for somebody else that equals something else, or you can take this energy and you can do something that's going to help build your confidence and help build love for yourself. And I told him, I love you no matter what. If you start doing cocaine and you stay in your bed, you might have to go somewhere else. But I love you no matter what, and God loves you no matter what. And every day you have an opportunity to choose what you're going to do. But then I said, by the way, you're going to run. Because running gets you high. It's called a runner's high. So anyway, that was just different with him. But I think for everybody, including myself, because I struggle. I have days where I have in my kitchen, I have this, it says I can't, and there's scissors cutting the tea, because sometimes, and then the mind, once it gets in that cycle, you can't. The more that, for me, what I've noticed is the more that we do every day to build that confidence, like we do one more scary thing, we do one more thing to surprise ourselves and be amazed and proud of ourselves, it just helps to keep moving forward. And then, like in my book, to like, and what I work with my clients is like, let's keep reminding yourself of a time that you were strong, of a time that you were injured and you got better, you know, like where you thought, oh, my knee hurts and I'll never run again, and you ran again. Or just reminding yourself, and if not, then looking out there for other people to get inspired by, who've done the things that you want to do, right? So I guess the short of that is, like, we all have choices, and no matter what we've been through in the past, no matter what just happened the last moment, we have the choice every single moment. We have the choice we can choose the next thought. We can just start with that, right? We can choose to smile at someone. And sometimes it's hard, but like, it's just, it's also proven to increase give you a little dopamine hit. So we can choose that, you know, we can choose what we choose. For the most part, kids don't. I talk about that in my book, but like what you put in their mouth, you know, what you're eating. So everything that we can control.
For sure. And, you know, for this generation, another thing is kind of like expecting quick results. And you're a testament to you got to put in the hard work to get the results. You know, what would you say to inspire the kids of this generation to put in the time?
It's hard work. I've been coaching a couple new people on this thing, the Swedish ladder, so this called human flag training, where you hold your body out sideways, and they hate when I record their fails, and I'm like, no, I'm recording all your fails so that you have that journey. Because even like for me, even with that as an example, people just think, oh, you can do that because you're strong. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I started with a half a second at a time. I held my breath like half the time. I had to take 5 days off because my body hurt so bad. No, I was not born knowing how to do the human flag. No, like my book did not get written in a day, you know, so that kind of work. But then again, it's like, I always have to remind myself, like, I don't want to do that today, but damn, that's going to feel good when it's done. You know, that's going to be awesome, right? But then enjoying the journey, like feeling good about it, just going like, hey, I'm supposed to work on my book a little bit every day, like 60 to 90 minutes. I want to be very present with my kids for, you know, I want, you know, like all the things that you know, and you go check. I think the Insta thing, we get so caught up with all the options. And we can't
overthinking.
Like, people can't even focus because they're so used to like constant stimulation. They get bored. You know, my kids in the car, I'm like, no, like you guys, I used to just look at out the window and make shapes out of the clouds, and you know, like pretend my sister's arm was a guitar, like do you know, like
interact with each other, talk to each other, play games.
So I think all that quick, that everything that's been the most valuable for me, it's been what I've worked the hardest on. What I've really disciplined myself to do. I mean, other stuff is luck, you know, which is a thing. But I don't consider myself lucky with a lot of the things that what I'm the most proud of, because I don't even, you know, it's not for me, it's for me.
Well, what they say is like when you're prepared, then when the time or the opportunity presents itself, you're ready, and that can be considered lucky. But if you weren't prepared, that opportunity wouldn't have been there. So really, you having all that discipline makes you lucky in that moment. But all the
like, I love to stand on my hands, and I stand on my hands all the time, and I hadn't been hanging out with people in a while. And when I got on Instagram, I found a whole community of people that I wasn't even aware it was there. There was a calisthenics community, and I'm like, cool, they were having a little get together, a meetup, and I'm like, well, that's cool, I didn't even know that was a thing. And I go to the calisthenics meetup, and it was a handstand contest, and I'm like, well, okay, I'll do it. And I stood on my hands for like 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and I didn't even know I could do that. But I'm like, well, yeah, because you stand on your hands every day. Like, okay, you can. But I had no idea, but I was ready. So I was ready. It's like showing up for something, and then that's like a big confidence boost. But it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
what even matters, you know? I mean, that's the thing. You get to decide what matters every day. So if you did show up to the handstand contest, then don't beat yourself up because you didn't even join it because you never stand on your hands. That's, you know, how could you even be prepared?
Exactly.
People expect to be prepared. Yeah, they take 20 years off of the gym and they walk in at 40 and they try to put on the bench. I used to see this in the big gym I worked at, and they put on there, oh, I used to do this when I was 18, and we're rescuing the weights off their chest. We're like, come on. You can't have these expectations of yourself, of, you know,
yeah, and it's
when you haven't prepared.
It's the same for art. You know, there's incredible artists that I know that literally can paint a masterpiece in a couple of hours. And people look at that like, oh, they make it look so easy, but it took 50 years of skills
Right.
and practice and failing and practice
Yeah.
and practice to get there.
That's true. It's like that with dance. Like people will call and say, oh, can you do a show for our Christmas party? And they're looking like, well, it's only 15 minutes. But I'm like, if you add up all these performers, how long do you think it took this one to learn an air flare, and how much hours do you think it took me to learn to spin on my head so you could stand up for, 15 seconds? And you can't really put a price on these things, that preparedness. But and what are we even? Yeah, I mean, we get to decide what we want to be prepared for. That's the point, right?
That's
your
the fun
purpose.
Part.
Yeah, it's
like
your
choose.
purpose, and it's like it's not going to be for everybody, but finding what that is for you. That's what I try to teach people about my body, because they think that they want it, but I'm like, I'm gonna train them for a day or an hour. And I'm like, you don't want this. Listen, just go enjoy whatever that you enjoy. And not that I enjoy that, but it's just a way for me to, they think that they will, but they won't, because a lot of people even have a lean physique, or they're super fit and they're unhappy. You know what I mean? Or they can paint a masterpiece and they're depressed.
Judging themselves.
Or they're judging it. Yeah. So there's a lot to that purpose thing, huh?
Yeah. I'm excited to continue and see the unfolding purpose, and just want to thank you for sharing your journey and your book, and super excited to see who you get to inspire with that. I know I remember the one time we were at a party and someone is like, oh, do you have a permit for those? And we were like, what? And he's like, those guns. And you're like, I wish you had your book.
And that's who I'm going to give my book my book card to. And on that note, I think it's like totally rude for people to just walk up and mention something about their body. Like, it's just not something that I do ever. By the way.
Because,
even if they're being well, I'm the 4 agreements. Like, I'm not gonna say this is good or this is not good, so even if someone's coming up to me telling me, giving me a compliment, sometimes I take that as like, hey, this like isn't even for you. Like, and also like sometimes I'm just trying to fit in, and if I'm at a dancing, I just want to dance, or if I'm if you were at wherever you are, I don't really go anywhere. Trader Joe's, like, I just want to get my food. Like, where do I go? I don't go anywhere. My purpose is more, I'm being called more to share, for sure. And I think in the past it's been, I know it's like been something a little more scary to me, but I trust and I pray about like all the energy that I would attract, and everyone who I could help by sharing, and I don't have my landing page ready for the book. That's text side, who I typically wait on, and but my website, Misti Dawn till dusk, Misty with an I, I'll have the landing page, and the wait list will be created soon. And just moving forward, marketing.
And that's also connected to your social media, so people can follow you on your social media, Instagram.
I gotta get TikTok. I got family. I have to do all these things, and so, but I'm gonna do it because I am definitely being called to do that. So I'm gonna share.
Awesome.
See what happens after that.
Well, excited to be along for the journey and see you share and inspire so many. So thank you so much, Misty. It's been such an absolute pleasure and inspiration. You are such an inspiration to me. So this is a special story for me. So thank you all, and please connect with Misty to get her book and to follow her on social media. Anything she puts on, it looks easy. She makes it look super easy, but there's been a lot of years and skills built to do any of those fun little things that she does. So